Bali condemns installation of buoys in Serangan waters, highlights mangrove area submission to be managed by BTID. And Chinese investors interested in developing Gilimanuk-Mengwi Toll Road. More on this. When will compensation be disbursed? Stay tuned for details on these and other stories. Selamat pagi. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is February 6th, 2025, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? Well, we had a massive storm again last night. Right now, it is cloudy but sunny, which is nice, and, well, quite breezy. The temperature is 29.1 degrees Celsius. The humidity is 79%. And the wind speed is 14.4 kilometers per hour. And I expect, like every day over the last few weeks, it will get stronger and stronger, the wind speed, as we get into the day. And, well, I'm expecting rain again tonight. What else is new? Okay, so, well, I hope the weather is better where you are. Okay, so let's get into it. First story on what else? Serangan Island, which has become very controversial over the last, week or so, 2 weeks. WALHI Bali condemns installation of buoys in Serangan waters, highlights mangrove area submission to be managed by BTID. BTID has been taking a lot of heat lately. The polemic related to investment and development by Bali Turtle Island Development, BTID, towards the Serangan community in Denpasar area has become the focus of environmental observers in Bali, including the Bali Environmental Advocacy Working Committee, KEKAL, and the People's Struggle Democracy Front, Frontier, and the Indonesian Environmental Forum, WALHI. Through a press conference the other day, the executive director of WALHI Bali, Made Krishna Danata, expressed his condemnation of the installation of buoys in the water of Serangan. The installation of buoys in Serangan waters is suspected as a form of privatization of the Serangan waters by BTID. Even after being tracked via satellite imagery, the problematic buoys have been installed since July 20th, 2018. The buoys block approximately 46.83 hectares of water and cannot be accessed by the public. We strongly condemn the installation of the buoys because, in our opinion, there's no basis for BTID to install them, he said. Previously, Tantawi Yaya, as the main commissioner of BTID, provided clarification that the fencing was an effort to secure against indications of illegal fuel smuggling. While he said, we consider his statement or reasons to be very unreasonable and far-fetched because, one, he has no basis. Second, according to him, the action of closing access to waters actually has an impact on fishermen in accessing waters and accessing sea areas in Serangan. He said that if smuggling or something that is contrary to the law does occur, BTID can take the initiative to report it to the authorities instead of taking the initiative to fence off the waters, thus limiting fishermen's access to fish and harming their source of livelihood. Another point that was highlighted was the eviction of the Serangan community's MSMEs, that's micro, small, medium enterprises, because they were located in the mangrove area, but accepted the application for the mangrove area to be managed by BTID. In this case, Krishna said, we can see that the attitude towards the local enterprises is much firmer, much more strict than in relation to BTID in terms of getting the mangrove forest application. He said that as many as 17 food stall or culinary business buildings, including in the Tahura Nurai area, were given a warning letter. In the letter, the UMKM owners were asked to immediately dismantle their buildings because they were suspected of threatening the mangroves. So BTID not threatening the mangroves, but the local businesses were threatening the mangroves. Krishna continued, we question and challenge this. Do they dare reject the 27-hectare application by BTID? In addition, his party also highlighted the Serangan reclamation, which is a form of space grabbing against the Serangan community. The construction of the tourism canal project which is suspected to be a form of privatization of the area by BTID, which isolates the Serangan community, and the submission of PKK-PRL, which is suitability of marine space utilization activities by BTID, which is suspected to be an attempt to control the waters in that area. The hope is that the policymakers in Bali, be it the governor, the mayor, or other policymakers in the center, such as the president, for example, or related ministries, should take a stance that sides with the people, not with BTID, and should make BTID remove their buoys so that people can go back to the sea. Then it is hoped that the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fishery will not issue the approval of the suitability of marine space utilization activities for BTID because it's suspected that this is an attempt to control the waters in the area at the expense of the local community. Finally, it is expected to evaluate the investment activities carried out by BTID and also in the special economic zone and what is going on there. So a lot of interest in what BTID is doing there. And despite the fact that the company says that they have an excellent relationship with the local community, it seems that not everybody agrees with that. And so we're going to keep following this story. This is an interesting one. And here is one of my favorite stories, and this has been going on for, 3 years now? This is another story, kind of like the North Bali International Airport, which if you follow this channel, you know it's one of my favorite myths. Well, what else? The Gilimanuk-Mengwi Toll Road. Chinese investors interested in developing Gilimanuk-Mengwi Toll Road. When will compensation be disbursed? The article starts out, the Gilimanuk-Mengwi Toll Road project has made significant progress. It has? The Toll Road Regulatory Agency of the Ministry of Public Works has carried out the pre-qualification tender for the toll road, all the way up through this Monday, the other day. The tender process has been carried out since September 2024 and is ongoing. As of Tuesday, the other day, there were 16 interested business entities that had taken the pre-qualification documents for the toll road. Pre-qualification applicants consist of local business entities and several foreign business entities from China, according to the head of the Toll Road Regulatory Agency. The entry of new prospective investors for the toll road is good news because the project auction in March 2024 failed to obtain prospective investors who meet the criteria. The only prospective investor for the project that passed pre-qualification, PT Bangun Sarana Agung, failed to fulfill its obligation to obtain financing support from banks to finance the toll road project. However, the ministry decided to postpone the pre-qualification process for the toll road. The reason is that the ministry is currently still completing the update of the project's feasibility study, which is expected to be completed sometime this year. The new feasibility study is to determine the current investment value, internal rate of return, initial tariff, toll road concession period, and the value of the government budget support for the project completion. PU Ministry is currently updating the feasibility study to ensure that the toll road project is feasible and bankable. What can I say about this? One thing that the Ministry of Public Works is recalculating is the amount of government support for the project. The Asset Management Agency has previously allocated the budget of 500 billion rupiah to help with land acquisition. With the postponement of the auction, the disbursement of compensation for the toll road land acquisition will be delayed until next year. And you may remember there have been demonstrations about this going on all the way up through 2023, or beginning in 2023. With the latest investment value, the amount of government support is possible to increase. This is included in the updating of the project study. The budget efficiency of the central government can have an impact on the project implementation target because of the planned portion of government support for a toll road section, one toll road section. However, it does not affect the portion of development by business entities. The auction process is targeted to be completed by 2026, so the construction for the 96.84 kilometer toll road can begin in 2027. Now, you may remember back in 2022, it was going to be started then. Now, the plan is to start it in 2027. 5-year difference. Think about the subway. When is that going to get started? I haven't heard anything about that recently. Back, months and months and months ago, It was going to begin in January. It's already February. What's happening with that? Don't know. Anyway, let's get back to this. Even though the Gilimanuk-Mengwi Toll Road has been removed from the National Strategic Project, the Ministry of Public Works is still considering the tender for the project. The estimated investment for the Gilimanuk-Mengwi Toll Road is going to be as much as 25.4 trillion rupiah. The toll road will pass through 3 districts: Jembrana, Tabanan, and Badung. The route is estimated to pass through 13 sub-districts and 58 villages. The toll road project has been stalled since 2022 because the toll road business entity withdrew due to failing to meet financial needs. I talked about this many times in the last 2 years. The government has previously changed the status of the toll road financing from 100% to 10%. The form is construction support for the Soka-Mengwi section. That's all the government is going to pay for. The Gilimanuk-Mengwi Toll Road is targeted to help reduce traffic congestion in Bali. It should shorten the time from Gilimanuk Port to Denpasar to 1 to 2 hours. The toll road is also expected to help equalize economic growth that has been concentrated in southern Bali. Just about everything that they do here in the infrastructure is supposed to help spread out the wealth on the island, and still haven't seen any of that happening. Okay, speaking about wealth, what is going on with inflation in Bali? Bali inflation in early 2025 under control. BI, Bank Indonesia, warns of food price increase. Annually, Bali inflation increased to 2.41% from 2.34% in December last year. However, this figure remains within the target of 2.5%. Although inflation is generally quite controlled, food prices have been recorded to have increased quite significantly, so it needs attention, according to the head of Bank Indonesia Representative Office for Bali Province. For that, Pak Erwin requested that in the future, inflation controls need to be strengthened through collaboration and innovation of the Regional Inflation Control Team, TPID. These efforts are needed, especially to mitigate the increase in food prices amidst extreme weather that is a challenge for agricultural productivity. Singaraja experienced the deepest monthly deflation, 0.53% month on month, or annual inflation of 1.61% year on year, followed by Denpasar with a deflation of 0.27%, or an inflation rate of 2.49%. Tabanan, the highest monthly inflation of 0.48%, or annual inflation of 3% year on year. The deflation that occurred in Bali was mainly contributed by housing, water, electricity, and household fuel groups. Meanwhile, food, beverages, and tobacco groups are still experiencing inflation. Based on the commodities, Erwin continued, the deflation in January 2025 mainly came from a decrease in electricity tariffs, along with the provision of a 50% tariff cut for electricity use with low capacity. Meanwhile, deeper deflation was held back by rising food commodity prices such as peppers, chili peppers, kale, green mustard, cooking oil, and this increase was caused by the rainy season, which reduced harvest yields and hampered distribution. In the future, there are several risks that need to be watched out for, such as weather disturbances that have the potential to cause livestock and plant diseases and hamper food production distribution. Not only that, the increase in the price of non-subsidized gasoline has the potential to push up land transportation rates. The price of cooking oil and gold jewelry also has the potential to increase inflation, along with the increase in the price of crude palm oil. He also assessed that the 3 kg LPG distribution policy needs to be anticipated further to mitigate price increases at the consumer level. And the demand for Canang Sari is expected to increase with Saraswati, Banyu Pinaru, Pagawesi, Tumpak Landip celebrations will take place in February, and then we have Nyepi coming up, as well as Ramadan. And so prices go up during all of these ceremonies. He's invited all stakeholders to maintain price stability by increasing agricultural productivity and supply chain efficiency. He said that increasing agricultural productivity can be increased by strengthening the implementation of regulations on sustainable food land protection, mitigating land conversion, strengthening access for farmers, fishermen, and livestock breeders. And another way to work at controlling inflation is implementing the 4K strategy, namely affordability, availability of supply, smooth distribution, and effective communication. By strengthening the implementation of the 4K policy, the BI believes that Bali's inflation in 2025 will remain within the national inflation target rate. And one more story to wrap things up, and this is on the road conditions here. We've talked about this a number of times. Driver wants to avoid potholes, but pickup truck plunges into river. A pickup truck plunged into the river on the Denpasar Gilimanuk Road bridge over in Chandikusuma in the Malaya district. This was on Monday. The pickup truck was swerving to avoid a pothole, but was hit from behind by another car, which pushed it off the bridge and into the river. So the accident occurred when these two cars were driving from the west or Gilimanuk to Denpasar. The pickup truck was in front. It was passing the bridge, but there was a pothole as they got there, and so it reduced its speed, and from behind, car slammed into it and pushed the pickup truck, which swerved and went off the road over the left side of the bridge fence. So the pickup truck had slowed down because there was a pothole, and there are a lot of potholes on this road and frequent stories about this road. The driver of the second car apparently paid less attention to the road, so he didn't even see the pothole. As a result of the accident, the driver of the pickup suffered injuries to his left temple, legs, and hands. His child, who was riding in the pickup, was not injured, fortunately. The driver of the car in the back was also in good health. And so, a number of these stories have been coming up in the local press recently of accidents, motorcycle accidents, car accidents, truck accidents, because of the poor condition of the roads in Bali. And they are not going to get any better with all of this weather that we've got and with all the increased traffic. So if you're driving out there, be careful. Okay, thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Take care, and I will see you next time.